You're at work, everyone's complaining of how crappy their jobs are, how miserable everything is. The conversation spirals, everybody's nodding, agreeing, piling on. They all feel a sense of belonging. We all feel the pull to join in and belong. But here's what I've noticed. Most people wake up already drained, not exhausted physically, but mentally, because they're scanning. They're scanning for the messages they didn't get, the rejections, the things that they're missing out on, the things they didn't accomplish. By evening, they're drained, not through work, from the constant low-level dissatisfaction and the relentless lack of focus. They have friends, they've got opportunities, they've got health, but they feel none of it because they've trained their mind to look for problems rather than blessings. And their mind has gotten very good at its job. Gratitude isn't the fluffy decorations. Gratitude is the internal core. It's the difference between spending all of your time fighting reality or using it to build the life that you actually want. Your mind is a camera, and most people never realize that they're choosing the filter. Two photographers shooting the same scene, one in black and white, finding the shadows and the distortions, the other one in full color, seeing the richness and the beauty. Same scene, completely different photographs. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you didn't do anything wrong, but their whole morning is ruined. They're seething in anger, and you didn't even notice them. Same event, two different realities. Your frame determines your reality, not the facts, your interpretation. Unhappy people aren't unlucky. They've just chosen a frame that makes them miserable. And they stay there because they've never learned how to reframe. So here's the question. What if the reason you're exhausted, stressed, and never satisfied isn't your circumstances, but it's the lens that you're using to look at them? What if changing that lens gave you back hours of mental energy every single day? When I was struggling with my social skills, all I ever wanted was a group of people who valued me, who I could go out and do interesting things with. I thought once I had this thing, my whole life will change. So I developed my social skills and I was successful. I found friendship groups that were going off doing cool and interesting things. Finally, the exact place that I spent years trying to get to, and all I could think about is just how little time I had to do my work, how much I wanted to be back in the quiet of my hometown, focusing on building something incredible. The place that I'm from, that I've spent my whole life trying to escape. I had what I wanted and I was complaining about it. The problem wasn't my circumstances, it was the inability of me to see their value while I had them. And here's the really scary part. How many years did I waste unhappy, wishing that I was somewhere else, when I actually had things that most people would have been very jealous of? How much energy did I spend resenting my life, trying to escape, rather than using it to build? Everyone who's built a life that they actually enjoy learn this one core thing. Be grateful for what's present rather than resentful for what's absent. Same situation, different frame, completely different energy. So here's the mechanism. It's not possible to be genuinely grateful and genuinely upset at the same time. Try and think of it now, a moment that you're incredibly grateful for, an opportunity of intense love towards somebody that you appreciate, who's done something incredible for you, possibly a life-changing moment. Really sit with that, absorb it, think about it and enjoy it. Now try and be bitter or resentful while holding on to that feeling. You can't, because the two states are incompatible. This isn't metaphor, this is neurological. Your brain can't process both states at the same time. Neuro pathways associated with genuine gratitude block the ones associated with resentment or ingratitude. Gratitude is a biological overdrive. It's not suppression, it's not pretending that everything's okay, but what it is redirecting energy towards the most effective area, to what's working rather than what isn't working. What you have instead of what you lack. That shift changes everything. And here's why this matters to you, because if you're constantly stressed, overwhelmed, or feeling like nothing's ever enough, you're not broken, you're just running the wrong program. And when you fix it, you stop wasting energy on resentment. You sleep better, you're calmer, and people notice. The version of you that isn't drained by constant dissatisfaction is a version of you that is more liked, more respected, and gets more done. I was in Thailand exploring some of the islands near Krabi province. And over there are some small fishing towns. And the houses that people live in are literally shacks on stilts overlooking the water. Now in these villages, there are people repairing nets, going fishing, and there are kids playing. But here's the thing, everybody was so happy. They were so at ease with their lives. They looked like they were filled with such joy. You'd talk to them and they were the happiest people I'd ever met. I got back to Manchester and all I could hear was people complaining about the weather, about their jobs, about what isn't good in their lives. These are people with stable jobs, warm homes, with every single opportunity in front of them. They were miserable, genuinely chronically unhappy. It seemed like fantasy to the people back in Thailand living in shacks with no possessions. If you're watching this, you have more material wealth and opportunity than 99.9% of all humans that have ever lived. You are staggeringly, absurdly privileged, and most people are completely unaware of this. So why aren't we happier? Because we're not trained to see it. We're trained to scan for what's missing. And that habit is costing us our peace, our energy, and our ability to appreciate what we've got. Think about it, you could be working 50, 60 hours a week and still completely drained and dissatisfied. And for what? To feel the same low dissatisfaction with your life that you felt 5 years ago. What if the problem isn't that you haven't achieved enough, but it's that you're not able to enjoy the things that you have achieved? If you're serious about building these skills, training your mind to reframe rather than just listening and understanding concepts, I've put together frameworks that talk about how you can implement this in your own life. The same systems that I've been using for years in my own life to avoid these negative traps. Check it out in the link below. People think gratitude is settling. You're going to be grateful, and then that's going to stop your motivation for wanting to go out there and get more. But they've got this completely backwards. I tried it, maybe I'll be happy when I leave Telford. I get a hot bod and a hot girlfriend and lots of money. When I can do this or achieve that. I got some of those things, and then within weeks, I was straight back to square one. Not square one materially, but square one emotionally. The same dissatisfaction, just with different circumstances. Because the frame that says I'll be happy when, it just doesn't switch off when you arrive. What happens is the signposts get moved further out, and you just feel inadequate again. So here's the trap. You're working yourself to exhaustion, chasing a feeling you think success will bring, but if you don't change the frame, success won't bring it either. There's research on lottery winners, people who earn millions, life-changing sums of money. Within a year, the happiness returns to baseline, and sometimes lower. The things that they thought would bring change didn't work. Not because the money wasn't real, but because they never changed the frame. Here's what I realized. All the successful people that I know, the ones building real wealth, living on their own terms, that are respected in their own areas, they all use gratitude as fuel. And not because they're soft, but because they're efficient. They don't waste energy resenting their current position. They extract value from where they are while using it as fuel to get to where they want. Same drive, different frame, completely different result. You'll know this is working when you want more, but you don't resent where you are. When ambition stops feeling like proof of your inadequacy, and it starts feeling like a natural expansion. And here's where you actually start to enjoy the process. You don't feel like you're burning out. You make faster progress with less friction and less emotional drainage. Gratitude isn't passive appreciation, it's active training. Think of your mind like AI. It's trained on the data that you give it, and it pulls up what you've trained it on. Most people have trained their minds to scan for problems, inefficiencies, and threats in every meeting, every message, and every interaction. Everyone who's figured this out has retrained the algorithm. They've taught their minds to look for the things that are going to benefit their lives. The problems are still there, they just don't dominate. They're replaced by optimal strategies and optimal thinking. The stuff that's going to enable you to have the best experience of your life possible. The problems are still there. The mind just doesn't pull them up anymore. The people who make this work, they do specific things daily. They write down things that they're grateful for, not vague things, but specific things in their lives. The people that they've got, the opportunities they've got, and even the problems that they don't have. When something goes wrong, they ask, what's the best interpretation of this? What's the story I can tell myself that gives me the best result? When they catch themselves spiraling, they stop and they just ask, what is the one good thing that's come from this? That can be enough to just stop the pattern. They do it daily for months until gratitude becomes the default, not the exception. And that's the work. Most people quit before they get there. They try it for a few days, nothing dramatic happens, and then they quit and they say it doesn't work. People who are successful understand this. It's training. Training isn't sexy, exciting, or fun. Training can be repetitive, boring, and undramatic. Right up until it's not. The moment that it clicks, you stop wasting hours every single day on resentments. You sleep better and you think more clearly. Show up calmer, people respect you more, you build faster and you enjoy it. Not because your circumstances change, but because you change the lens. A few weeks ago in my family home, one of my nephews broke my guitar. The headstock snapped and I was pretty upset. So I threw it away, tried to ignore it and just carry on with my day. It was really sad, but I just tried to block it out. The next day, my mum gives me the guitar back and she's glued it together. I say, thanks, and I didn't think much of it. I just went straight back to my work. Then it hit me. This person just did me a massive act of kindness. She went out of her way to do something very kind and I almost missed it. I nearly let it pass without actually feeling it. It made me tear up, not from sadness, but realizing how I nearly missed something so beautiful. That's the real cost of not practicing gratitude. You miss the moments that actually matter, the moments that are closest to you, the moments that are most human, the relationships that sustain you, and the kindness that keeps you human. You work yourself to exhaustion, building a life that you're not even able to enjoy. The small moments of beauty that pass us by every single day. That's why I have systems, daily reminders and practices, because we're human and without good systems, we're not able to remember and apply these things in our lives. The gratitude doesn't happen automatically. We have to build the infrastructure. You don't control what happens to you, but you do control the frame you bring to it. Most people repeat the same reactive loops. Something bad happens, they blame the world and repeat, passengers in their own lives. You don't have to live that way. 97% of people won't like, comment, subscribe. If I've helped you in any way, please return the favor. Anything, comment, like, subscribe. It really helps out the channel. If you want to start practicing these frameworks and making a difference in your life, check out the links below, subscribe to the newsletter, reach out to me. I'll see you in the next one.